Mic test. Am I live? Am I live? Let me watch it on stream, make sure everything's fine. So, if I am live right now on YouTube or on Twitch, just know everything I talked about will be timestamped it down in the comments and in the description. And the goal for today is try to get through everything within 30 minutes. Let's see if we can do that. There isn't too much to talk about overall, because I already showcased a lot of them in my videos, but today it'll just be, getting through how to build some of these stuff and then just talk about some of the new units, because yeah, not everything is that worth it, and then the only thing that I really need to talk about on the builds are just the genetic GaoGaiGar and such. But yeah, for those who don't know, I don't think anyone wouldn't know. GaoGaiGar collab in Ian again. I mean, I don't know. the rerun from NC is now rerunning in Ian as well. So, and then today I've just been going over about the GaoGaiGar stuff, and as well as, if they're worth it or not, which if you already have GaoGaiGar, then I think is, or if you already have, genetic GaoGaiGar, then I think it's probably good that you can just, either roll like one. I mean, you probably have it for Retrofit, and you can just retrofit again, and that would be pretty easy. But if you're someone who doesn't have GaoGaiGar at all, then I wouldn't recommend, getting it to retrofit, because I don't think it's that worth it. So, 欢迎欢迎欢迎. Alright, hold on, give me 1 second. Alright, but there is a unit that doesn't matter who you are, you should definitely get, which is the free King Jader in the development. So, but that is really the only thing that everyone should get. Otherwise, people who already have GaoGaiGar, or probably already has, it's worth it for those who already have GaoGaiGar. Alright, let me watch your own stream, make sure everything is going fine, so I don't find out later if it is something that is not going well. So let me see. Mic test. Okay, alright, seems like it's good. Let me show. Also, welcome Albert, welcome. Oh, hold on. Yeah, I shouldn't got here yet. Alright, so just get straight into it. So I'll probably talk about Hana first. So there's a new roulette pilot in Ian that is Hana. And alright, Jesus Christ, hold on. So Hana is the first, it is the first roulette pilot, because you cannot get it in bars, and you also cannot get it in you cannot get it in what's it called, you cannot get it in Hardbox, and you cannot get it in the cafe at the moment. So the only way to get it right now is from the roulette, which is a little bit scammy. They're finding new ways to let us roll for the pilots, but technically it is cheaper to get it now, and it's actually guaranteed to get it now than later, because this pilot does rerun in the future, in pilot recruitment as well as in hard boxes. However, both hard boxes and pilot recruitment are no guarantee. I mean, hard box is guaranteed, but it's expensive, and then pilot roulette is also just not worth it, because there's also no guarantees. So technically, if you want this pilot, if you want Hana, let's say if you're playing, that a lot of Vatican, even though she don't need to be with Vatican to be good, but let's say if you are let's say if you want her for whatever reason, right? Then it is technically more worth it to get it from here, which is which at max, if you want to get a pilot alone, you should probably only spend up to 8k in order to get 2 of this to get the pilot. And what's it called, you probably wouldn't need to spend the entirety of 8k, because every 2 days you will have 2 rolls for it, and every time the roulette go to 100, then you will guarantee to get the badge. Now I think, what's it called, compared to the other things that they're doing lately, I think this is fine, because again, just it's guaranteed. You get 8k gems, which is a lot, and you can get it. So it's like, because I don't know, I just think it is like, at least it is guaranteed, I should say. At least it's guaranteed, compared to, like, let's say a new unit where we need to get it in a bar or something. So I don't know how to feel about this. I feel really bad, because they need, like, they're pushing out another roulette again, but then It is technically guaranteed, so it's technically not the most crazy thing in the world. I don't know. Maybe it's, maybe it's their goal. And if you were to get it from the roulette, then you also get, extra stuff compared to if you were to get it from, heart boxes or get it from, some other things. And let's say if you want to, and let's say if you don't want to spend gems, I think there are, yeah, you can buy like tickets here. I think I don't know if this is the exact one, but yeah, I don't know. It's like they're being scummy, but at the same time, at least it is guaranteed. I don't know. However, in NC, right, this pilot doesn't get strong or doesn't get used a lot more until later, until a few months later. But after a few months, they are, she has become a dominant support compared to a lot of other support. So, Mena, I'm from Thailand. Oh, welcome. I'll get into that. You know what? I should probably just talk about it now. So, yeah, hold on. But let me finish talking about Hana, okay? So, for Hana, I wouldn't get into all of them. You can probably just see how good she is as a support pilot, just by reading the skill, even though, it is a very long thing. The only thing I want to talk about is what skill to skip, because, not everyone have enough to get it to 135 levels. So, all, her active skill, her second skill, and her fourth and last skill are all very good supportive units. So you kind of want to have all these max, the level, the Wonderful Tea Party, the Rabbit Trick, as well as the Queen Gambit. You want all these max because, they last the whole battle, and it is just good support skill both for her and for the allies. The only skill that I think you should skip are the smell of the cat, whatever. You're only missing out on some final defense receive, which is, but like, it's fine compared to the other, it's fine to lose it compared to other skills. And of course, upon every 5 seconds, it will release, 3, basically a taunting balloons, which I think, because the leveling doesn't affect this at all, so I think it's actually a pretty, like, it wouldn't affect this, skill specifically. So and the other, and depending on if they're on Vatican or not on Vatican mecha, the effects are still pretty selfish. So I still think that, you might as well put her on a unit that can, that can allow her to survive, and then just max all of her other skills so you can benefit the team the most. So if you were to get this pilot, I highly recommend skipping the thirst skill or the smile the cat, if you don't know what to skip. So yeah, she does become a pretty popular pilot, in the future. But again, that's in the future. I don't know if it'll be the same for Ian. I'm pretty sure it's still usable Ian, but it might not be. It might be similar to NC, where it might not be the best support at the moment, but it might be the best support down the line. So yeah, so that should be it. And of course, don't worry if you aren't able to get this unit, now, because, it does rerun, but just know that, it could cost more when it does rerun. So, but at least it will rerun, so don't worry about that. Alright, so now let's go into GaoGaiGar and talk about if it is meta or not. So, it is good. It is definitely good. However, because GaoGaiGar actually came out later in EN, now that's a different story. Because we already have Thunderbolt. We already have because we have Thunderbolts. We have the Arch Giant, which both of them, after they came out, it kind of suppressed GaoGaiGar for a bit, or at least it come out in a different way. Like, for example, it come out in a different way. Like this, where it become Mikoto who's piloting GaoGaiGar, because GaoGaiGar just, I guess, become a support carry for Mikoto, and Mikoto also requires a GGG, require her to be piloting a GGG in order for her, I guess, infinite HP gimmick to work. So yeah, I think for those who already have GaoGaiGar maxed, and for those who, already have GaoGaiGar max, and for those who just, let's say if you're like, needs 2 copies or something to max GaoGaiGar, then I think it's probably worth it just for Mikoto Awaken, if anything. However, if you are a new player who just played before, who just started playing or who doesn't have GaoGaiGar at all, then I don't think that's worth it. Because sure, it might be used, like it might be useful now, but there are just newer, like you could just draw newer units and just make do with that for now until later when, when GaoGaiGar is completely phased out of the meta. So yeah, because GaoGaiGar is not exactly a gimmicky mecha. Most of the things that it changed are just stats increases, and which stats will always get outdo, and it is purely carried by, or at least now it is purely carried by Mikoto with her mechanic of being able to gain infinite max HP from her active skill and her second skill after her Awaken. So it is more so Mikoto than GaoGaiGar. If you were to see them in the in the usage. So is it worth it or not? Yeah, it is meta, but is it the GaoGaiGar being meta, or is it Mikoto Awaken being meta? But Mikoto does require her to use on a Brave, like a series mecha. But the thing is, I usually just use it on. I mean, if you really want to do that, you can technically just use it on King Jader for now. Even though King Jader is not exactly any meta, even though King Jader Retrofit did give a lot of buff, it is pretty hard to survive even on even with Mikoto in his meta. So she still kind of want to be on the 4G, but yeah, I don't know. It will very be your situation dependent. If you're someone who doesn't have GaoGaiGar at all, then I highly suggest just develop all the King Jader copies and then just use Mikoto on that for now. And if you already have close to max or already max 4G, then only then I think it is worth it, because again, if you really want to save, you can just save all the way until Getter Emperor, or just save until which is unit dropping today, which is the Super Galaxy, as well as the Tengen Toppa, Gurren Lagann. So I think if you really want to save money, you probably should wait for at least Getter Emperor. But yeah, that's what I think. It is good, but I just think that you'll get your money worth more if you were to save for Getter Emperor, especially in Eon where it came out later, which both Archgiant and Thunderbolt does suppress both Guy and both just a normal Guy on 4G as well as Mikoto Awaken on 4G, because both of them remove HP based on enemy targets HP. So. And the build I have right now is the build that people has been using in the Getter Emperor meta. I mean, something like this, it wouldn't be exactly the same, but something like this is usually the go-to for Mikoto support, because again, 4G now in Getter Emperor meta is just rendering down to a support, because it is the only one that can really survive in against Saint and against Emperor. Because not because of 4G, it's because Mikoto. Because Mikoto Awaken have the infinite HP thing, that's why 4G is able to at least exist as a carry for her in order to do that. Because her fourth skill does want you to have want her to be piloting a Brave series mecha. Or I guess so she can force activate her active skill, which you will require the active skill in order to get the infinite HP going. So. Yeah, and back then the build for her is usually just stack HP. But now because of the Getter Emperor damage being ramped up a little bit, the build become more back into, I guess, more chill, or more not more chill, but more, I guess, meta wise, I guess, more, or I guess more feature focused, I should say. So, I'm gonna talk about this one later. I'm gonna go into how Guy was usually piloted, or how Guy was usually builded before. Oh, now I don't know if Guy will be good on 4G in this meta, because again, we already have Thunderbolt, we already have Archgiant. I mean, which I don't really know if it would be good with Mikoto Awaken, but that's for Eon. And another thing I should suggest is probably wait for the Eon top PV data to decide. But for now, this is what NC back then does before Archgiant and before Thunderbolt. So keep that in mind. Okay. Now, Guy, just like 4G, is basically just a stats monster. Nothing too crazy. Stat monsters usually get outdated because, you know, there will just be units with even more stats in the future. And unlike Mikoto, which is more mechanical, but you know, at least for now, it is probably usable because of all the stats. And core pretty self-explanatory. Guy doesn't exactly require to use, you know, action cooldown because, you know, he just have built-in force actions, you know, after Awaken. So that's why we're going for this one. This one can just, you know, give GaoGaiGar more survivabilities, and for the bullets we use claws, so you can get some HP regeneration back for some extra how do you say, extra longevity, I guess. And then for the support is just the battery, just for, again, more survivabilities. Armor pretty self-explanatory, just from Steel. And for the coatings, usually just, you know, for meta units, I mean, for most units, it's usually just Gaia coat now, so you can, again, just more heals and more longevity. And then for Gaia especially, we're using the Pisces, because, you know, Guy, if you're punting on Guy, it can also do damage, so you can probably, you know, just get more longevity this way, so you can survive for it longer. And then for the co-pilot, it's just self-explanatory, because, you know, the stats from GaoGaiGar comes from stacking G-Stone, and you kind of want her, which is a free pilot, to get more G-Stone that way. So this should be the simplest build for Guy if you were to use it on Guy. Now, but again, I don't know if Guy will be the go-to pilot for Guy. Maybe for the first month or so or something. But usually, if for player who knows how to play, you know, this unit, right? Usually it will go into Mikoto at this point. And for the Mikoto, there are some differences which I'll get into later. And let's say you have Guy on you know, on 4G, right? That means you're probably gonna have King Jader on Mikoto, because again, Mikoto Awaken is pretty strong with the infinite HP thing. Like, you know, equal increase, because, you know, most of the units now have max HP or HP based, or I guess HP scalings with attack. So aside from being more tanky with infinite HP, you also will get more attack because of infinite HP. So I don't think people should roll GaoGaiGar. That's why I think most people will just roll. That's why I suggest to just, you know, get King Jader for Mikoto Awaken if you were to be using, you know, Guy on 4G for now. Which again, I think the most worth it thing is to just stitch Guy all together and just max Mikoto Awaken and just put Mikoto Awaken on 4G, and just don't even bother with this. But again, of course, most people probably already have Guy if you have maxed out 4G, so, you know, you probably will be using Guy on this and then using, you know, Mikoto on this. Of course, if you have a GaoGaiGar, it'll be even better, because now Mikoto can be on GaoGaiGar to basically close to a performance of 4G, I should say, you know, in terms of if Mikoto is on it or not. So yeah. But again, you know, I'm pretty sure not many people have GaoGaiGar, especially, you know, at maxed. So just make do with King Jader Retrofit for now. It should be fine. It can do damage as well, again, because of the you know, infinite max HP. And if you were to be doing this, just stack HP. Pretty simple, just stack HP. With just more HP, the max amount of HP built. The fizz just for more damage. Or the super raw fizz because for more damage, and then just for more HP. And then now the only that is like contested thing is armor. Now, people have been saying to not use the defense armor because, you know, Shu can gain infinite HP. That means if you have this armor on, Shu will gain infinite defense. But the thing is, her infinite HP things require her to take enough damage in order to get infinite HP. So if you have too much defense, when you have high enough HP, you might not be able to increase your max HP even more. Now, I don't think that's a problem with the, you know, with the stuff that we have now. So I really think that it's fine to use this. But if you were to run into trouble, actually, because of the max HP, which I don't think it will because of the Thunderbolt and Archgiant at the moment, I just think it's probably better to just use this one, because just for more safety, because you might die before you get high enough, you know, max HP, or you might even die even with a lot of max HP because of those two units running around. But again, if it is a trouble, if she does gain too much defense, then just go for this one. It is the second unit. It is the other most HP increase units. But again, for now, I think using this one is probably the best overall. And then now for the coding is just the most amount of HP. And for the pets now, for the pets will be a bit different. You can use more HP, but you can also use, because there are some other pretty good thing over here. Like for example, the umbrella pet. The umbrella pet can also be pretty good for this, or you can even just have this because there's a potential that she will do damage. Because again, infinite max HP can scale with the final damage, and one hit down from whatever shot she's able to get out in the meta, which it'll be hard, but if she does get something out, then she can potentially gain a lot of Pisces that way. But the thing is, if she does get something out, the enemy is probably dead at that point if she have high enough max HP. So yeah, but I think just going even more max HP, or just going for umbrella or something is probably a bit better then. But I'm just putting max HP just for the demonstration purposes. And now we have for Cobalt Statistical, which is Nia. Now you can use other ones. You can use something more survivability, because again, even though you have max HP, there's still potential you will die before you're able to, I guess, get enough max HP for to do whatever she wanted to do. So you can use something more defensive, like for example, you can use the Diagro pet, where yeah, you can use her defense. Sure, you can use her defense just for more survivabilities, but again, there's nothing will be wrong if you were to go max HP, because again, so you can play into the more max HP build overall, because again, it is King Jader. It is not something too crazy. It is just the whole thing about this guy is HP. It's literally just HP. So that's why I think it's probably better to build for HP if you are actually using this on GaoGaiGar, or on using Mikoto on King Jader. So, and it'll probably be the same for GaoGaiGar as well. But again, we have Thunderbolt and we have Argiant now, so it is probably safer to still just use her like this, something like this. Maybe switch out some part with HP increase, like maybe switch out this one for HP increase, right? Something like this is probably a bit better. But yeah. It would depends on the EM meta, it depends on the EM meta, and it will also depend on the usage rate. If there's too much Thunderbolt, too much Argiant, then something like this will probably be a bit better overall, compared to using a guy using guy on 4G and such. So yeah, so that should be it. I don't know if I haven't covered about anything now. Again, GaoGaiGar is not worth it, but again, if you do have GaoGaiGar, it will just be the same thing I talked about earlier. You can either go for HP, or you can just go for more of a guy, or more of a generic build for for the thing. So yeah, so anything else I need to talk about? I don't think so. So the biggest takeaway for this collab is to get King Jader. Doesn't matter who you are, get King Jader to Retrofit, and of course get Mikoto Awaken up, because again, her infinite HP thing can be pretty useful, if anything, with King Jader in Apex or in Zenith or something, because yeah, as long as you're not against Thunderbolt, as long as you're not against Arch, Mega Archgiant, it should do the trick, it should do the work. But now, and even afterwards, even and after Archgiant, after Thunderbolt, and after Thunderbolt and after Archgiant are suppressed by Get Emperor, she does climb back up using using a build like this, so she can be a good support for the for your whole team, while being a very good tank and not die immediately, because now even Feng Huang can die immediately without triggering all the revives. So, and having a very tanky support unit in your team is probably pretty good. So is a good guy Awaken using parts compulsory joint? You can, yeah. I think you can, but the thing is, I don't think he needs action cooldown, because let me see. Yeah, I don't think he needs action cooldown. Just because. Let me see. Yeah, because he spams like action, like he spams action already when he is not action, when he's not in action. So I don't think you need that, but it can work. You know, it can work if that's the only option. If that's the only option, then it can work. But personally, because he can already, you know, he can already basically force use his actions with, you know, with his skill, then I don't think it needs that much, if you know what I'm saying. But again, you can, you definitely can. But personally, I think using this one is a bit more safer because, you know, you get more, just more defense abilities, and if anything, you know, give your, you know, let your ally have more defense abilities and such. So yeah. Yeah, anything else? Any questions? I think I covered everything in this collab. Let me just double check, make sure I got everything. Just want to double check if I actually got everything, because, you know, sometimes I forgot a lot. But again, look, if I do forget about something, then I'll talk about it in, you know, in the, in the comments and in the description. Of course, if you want to ask me a question, just join Discord and such, right? So I'll got over GaoGaiGar, you know, GaoGaiGar, King Jader. Well, one thing I want to talk about is that I don't know why we don't have the, you know, we don't have the default GaoGaiGar reworked, but, you know, oh well. You know, we did get a new skin, so I don't know why we didn't get a rework. Anyway, whatever. Yeah, I think that's everything. I don't think there's anything I missed, right? It's just under 30 minutes. That's actually not too bad. You know what? Might as well call it, you know, I might as well call it now, so, you know, so it doesn't go for too long. Okay, look, I wouldn't use, yeah, I wouldn't use them on, well, I don't know. It depends. There's, okay, 5 every level. Yeah, 5 every level. So just count it, right? You need 1 every 5 levels. So definitely want to, I guess, think twice before using, you know, before using those medals, because again, it is a limited, somewhat limited resources. So yeah, definitely use it before, but definitely, I guess, ask other people before, you know, doing so. I personally haven't done any yet, because I'm just saving for like a unit either I really like or something, you know. I'm saving for something, you know. I'm saving for something. Oh, and we should probably talk about build on Hana. Now, Hana is more so just, now you shouldn't use Hana on at. You shouldn't use Hana on something that, you know, that needs something. So like, use it on Feng Huang or use it on something else. I'm just using this here because memes or something like that. I don't know. It's the only real unit that can use it on. But usually you want to use her on a support, you know, on something that can survive in this hellscape of a meta, right? Like, for example, you know, use it on Feng Huang or something. Even though, again, Feng Huang is not exactly that safe now against, you know, the thing nowadays. So, alright, I think that should be everything. I'll just call it a day before this going to 30 minutes. So yeah, alright. Thank you so much for coming by. Goodbye. Sentai TVT, welcome. Thank you so much for coming by. Thank you. But anyway, yeah. Again, every talk about what's your favorite Godzilla movie? I don't watch much Godzilla movies, so my bad. I don't know much. It's too yeah, haven't. I don't think I was even alive, you know, when Godzilla was like popular or something. I don't know. But anyway, if any questions, feel free to ask me in our Discord. I'll try to answer them. And such. So goodbye. Okay, we'll do. Yeah, we'll do. Yeah, I'll take a look. Thank you.